Alright everybody, it is I, Hellgear, and this is my time where I want to talk about Splatoon 2 as a game. Now that Splatoon 3 is officially here, and thanks to the most recent Nintendo Direct, the first Splatfest is weeks away, I want to take this moment to reflect on the time I've had playing Splatoon 2. So if you agree with or disagree with anything that I may have to say, please do so in the comments section below, as well as in the comment section below. Share your thoughts and experiences playing Splatoon 2. Also, be sure to like, sub, and bell, because there will be more there's still one more thing of Splatoon 2 content, and there will be Splatoon 3 content, more of Splatoon 3 content, I should say, coming on down the line. So without further ado, let's talk about this. As someone who came from the very first Splatoon, and I came from that late, one of the biggest things that I said to myself going into Splatoon 2 was that I didn't want to miss a single Splatfest. And there were many Splatfests that I missed in the first game because I didn't have the Wii U. And when I finally got a Wii U, it was near the end of this game's life. Hell, it was near the end of the life of the Wii U. But we won't go there. You know, Splatoon 2, on the jump from Wii U to Switch, kept its premise of colorful third-person shooting game. And many of my friends in my gaming community who play shooters, they still bust my hump to this day about how I play more Splatoon than I would Call of Duty. And someone wanted me to explain Call of Duty to them. Well, not Call of Duty per se, but a Call of Duty player wanted me to explain Splatoon to them. And my explaining of Splatoon 2 to them is like, essentially, it's a watered down version of this in third person perspective. You still get your main tactical weapon. You still get your lethal weapon. You get your kill streak. You only get one kill streak. You have your perks, which each of your gear can give you up to 4 different perks. And instead of it being like super 6v6, like it was like, what was it, 12 people in a lobby, it's 4v4. And it's more paintball-esque. And the funny thing is about this, and that was the end of my explaining it, but the funny thing is more adults play Splatoon where more kids play Call of Duty, which is, yeah, all my Call of Duty gamers out there have had that amateur night where they got some 12-year-old playing this game. The fact that they took the events from the final Splatfest, Callie versus Marie, and I was on Team Marie, who won, to mold the hero mode of Splatoon 2 was interesting. You know, Callie goes missing, you meet Marie, and you do this hero mode. And compared to the first game's hero mode, where you're going through everything with just the splatter shot, you have the other game modes with the amiibo, where you can go through them again with the charger, the roller, da-da-da-da. Right? This game was different. Especially since it had more of a variety of weapons. You know, when Splatoon came to its end, we were introduced to 2 new weapons. We were introduced to a minigun, or Gatling gun, in the Splatlands, and then the sloshers, which are the buckets. You know, we got that near the end of the game, and I thought it was cool finally having a machine gun, or like a strafer, and just enjoy that. But the cool thing about it is Sheldon migrates with you. You know, that's the one person from the first Splatoon who has transcended everything being the same old guy, Sheldon was our man at arms. He is our man at arms, I should say. He was there in Inkopolis with his Ammonite store. He moved to the square in 2 with his Ammonite store. And in hero mode, you have to, every now and again, use a different weapon. And I thought it was interesting how you get to test the new weapons, right? And this is something I actually did because I cleared all of hero mode with the hero umbrella. And I heard about this on the wiki. If you clear all of the hero mode stages with one particular weapon other than the splatter shot, you get that weapon unlocked in the main game. It's the only hero weapon I managed to unlock in Splatoon 2 at this time, was the hero umbrella. And when I unlocked the hero umbrella at the time, Sheldon was explaining about the test results. The only problem with that was I wasn't at a high enough level to wield the hero umbrella when I went back into the shop with him. And now in Splatoon 3, Sheldon makes the migration out into the Splatlands for Ammonites once more. And it's good to see his familiar face every step of the way. He is the man at arms after all, Krusty Sean came and gone from Splatoon 2. He didn't start out doing what he does now. I mean, he was our foot guy. And then he turned up with a food car and decided, well, you know what? I'm done selling kicks. Let me sell some food that'll power you up. Whether or not we'll see Krusty Sean or mention of Krusty Sean in Splatoon 3, that remains to be seen in the Super C Scrolls. If there are Super C Scrolls in Splatoon 3. And the fact that the Squid Sisters, who are actually cousins, who we got to know of for so many years, and having to fight one of them because of the outcome of the first Splatoon's final Splatfest, was shocking. It really was shocking. But it was cool at the same time. The Squid researchers have done their due diligence, and they introduced us to 2 new weapon types in Splatoon 2. The first weapon they introduced us to were the dualies. This was an interesting little thing. It's essentially 2 guns where you shoot, and they come with a perk known as a dodge roll, where you can roll, and after you come out of the roll, you just fire a rapid fire a lot faster than while the dualies go. And what's interesting is, while certain weapons and choice weapons return from game to game, and they'll do that again from game to game to game, like the Luna Blaster and the Aerospray MG, it was nice that they took one weapon from the first game and repurposed it, and that was the dually it was the dual squelcher. You guys know about the squelcher, right? It's that one blue gun that shoots long range and slow. And then they have the dual squelcher, which is the red version, and it's 2 guns that shoot. Well, essentially what this game did was, instead of bringing back the dual squelcher, we'll just break it in half, repurpose it as dualies, and now it's a dually squelcher. The loss of certain special weapons and the replacements that came with them didn't go well at first. I still miss the Ink Zuka. And the fact that the Ink Zuka was changed to the Ink Jet and rocket propelled jets sucked the fattest. The Killer Whale being replaced by the Stingray sucked a little bit, but we got used to it, right? And then we had the Ink Strike being replaced by the Tenta missiles. And the Tenta missiles, oddly enough, They started out as meh, but finished out being, yeah, this is good stuff. You know, if there was any score streak that would replace itself from the first one, Tenta Missiles did its job. You know, the Baller being the replacement for the Kraken, I wasn't a fan. You know, also the change in the Ink Mine sub-weapon wasn't the best. You know, Ink Mines in the first game, you could get splats off of them. But in this game, it's like the Echolocator Special, which they got rid of. And it kind of sucked. You know, the Bubbler was changed to Ink Armor, which, let's be real, the Bubbler had its moments because you could shoot the shield and knock people off, especially if you had a roller, you could knock squids in the drink. But the Ink Armor just looked cooler. You know, it looked cooler. It didn't have the tactical abilities as a Bubbler, but the Ink Armor looked cooler. And now the game has what's called the Tacticooler, so I guess. And then we have an actual bubble shield from what I've heard, so hey. I didn't get to experiment with that in Splatfest 0. The greatest thing that happened was it allowed me to be who I am right now, as you see. You know, when I played the first game, and there are episodes of me doing the first game, I considered myself as the Octoling in the Inkling cloaking device. And in this game, they expanded more on the other cephalopod in the water coming to the land. Then there was the Inkling versus Octoling Splatfest that came amongst the Octo expansion, which I was talking about momentarily. And even if you didn't get to be that, and when you were an Octoling for a Splatfest, even though the Inklings won, it was nice to be that Octoling for a little while. You know, Octo expansion on its own right was nice because it gave us a little bit more lore into Off the Hook, Pearl and Marina. You know, it's supposed to be their origin story. But in the process of their origin story, you got a little bit of a back mission with Captain Cuttlefish, and you learn about the Octo race and their madness. The craziest part about that was you take the reins of an Octoling and you enter a facility where it's all these tests while you try to find your way to go to the surface. As we know in the first game, Octolings, or the Octarian race, were forced into underground kennels from the Great Turf War. And it was nice to see, okay, every now and again we'll face these female Octolings as bots, but now we get to be Octolings ourselves, and that was great. You know, and to those of you who haven't cleared Octo expansion in Splatoon 2, whether you paid the $20 for it like I did, or you got it for free because Nintendo Switch 64 online, clearing that lets you choose the Octoling player. And it's great to have that. You know. Then we got a brand new mode. You know, Turf Wars are essentially the main fun thing. But when they introduced this new mode, they made it seem like, okay, it's a part-time job. And that was Salmon Run. You know, Salmon Run is a unique experience. You know, you worked your way up the ladder, you got some cool gear, and it was a different mode of the game. You know, again, I talk about my Call of Duty people, how Splatoon is a watered down version of Call of Duty. Well, Salmon Run is like the zombies of Call of Duty for the Inklings and Octolings. You know, You go, do a shift, you clear your objective, you get the hell out of there. It's not like Call of Duty where everybody tried to figure out for years how to get the hell out of the zombie maps. Like, people still play Mob of the Dead and Buried to this day, and they're like, how the hell did we actually win this? And we just play till everybody's dead. You know, that sort of thing. And it was nice. My only regret about that, and actually there were two. One of the Super C Scrolls in this game mentioned like a big cataclysmic event with Salmonids. We didn't get that in this game. And from what we've been told, we're supposed to get this in Splatoon 3. So, okay, I guess. And two, we never got to use the Grizzco weaponry outside of Salmon Run. And the Grizzco weaponry itself was just an Easter egg that came out of the opportunistic ideals of a glitch. You know, Salmon Run didn't always give us 4 items out the gate. Actually, it did until a question mark came up and we got a random item. Then, as a glitch, 4 random question marks came up. And when we got this run, something unique happened. Grizzco had its own unique weaponry. Their own umbrella, their own blaster, their own charger, their own slosher. Right? And we never got to play with these weapons in Splatoon 2 Turf War. You know, I would have loved to play with the Grizzco blaster. Like the Grizzco umbrella, maybe that's hit or miss. But like the Grizzco blaster, I would have loved to play that in regular Turf War. Grizzco charger, not so much. I mean, it's a 7-round sniper, but it's quick. But it's worse than the Bamboozler. And the Grizzco slosher is hit or miss. I mean, it's powerful, but it's super slow. I mean, slower than the Explosion. You know, it was slow. Right? And I was talking about the weapon types, but I didn't mention the umbrellas. So I guess I'll talk about that now. The umbrella is like the blaster in a sense. It's a shotgun-based weapon. Not as powerful. And it also gave you a defensive shield. And depending on the umbrella that you used, it could either shoot this shield off to cover a straight line of turf, or you could break through it. Or in the case of the Grizzco umbrella, there was no shield. It was just rapid fire, clack, 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 clack. You know, I found umbrella work amusing. It was nice to play with the umbrella work. And getting 2 new weapons was nice. The craziest thing about the other modes, and you have to give mention to this, is with one of the new weapons of Splatoon 3, the Splatana. And when you look at the Splatana, it's like a sword-based weapon. That was something which was originally the idea of the roller. Now, the roller, like I said, it's useful, but it changed in its mechanics. You know, in the first game, we were stuck with the horizontal bar, the roller. But in this game, jumping up to splat with it gave us a vertical swing, which gave the rollers more needed range, because it was more of a up and personal weapon, right? But the Octo Samurai from the second hero mode literally was the forefather of the Splatana, right? It's essentially, he holds the weapon in vertical and makes a shockwave. And literally, that's one of the things that Splatanas can do. They can create a shockwave with the slash. And they remind me so much of the sneakers from Conquer Live and Reloaded. How they would run around with the saber. Now, the Splatana and the Splat Roller, for themselves aren't sabers per se, but they play like them. And that's really interesting to know. So it was nice to know that one of the Octarians was a forefather of a brand new weapon that we get to play with in Splatoon 3. So thank you, Octo Samurai, for that. Splatfest themes were also unusual. We didn't just have Splatfest, you know. We had Frosty Fest, which was the holiday, the Christmassy version, right? We had Springfest for Easter. We had Splatoween, the Halloween Splatfest. And part of me hopes that as we get into these later Splatfests, not necessarily for next month, of course, for Splatoon 3, because next month is October, that like maybe 2023, like October 2023, we'll have a Splatoween and the Frosty Fest, Squidmas, and Spring Fest for Splatfests. Those would be nice to come back, actually. You know, it's a nice variety of stuff. And now we look forward to some of the other stuff. And when I look back at Splatoon 2, I look back at a lot of the accomplishments that I've done. You know, I was the first and possibly only YouTuber out there to clear hero mode without dying. Well, let me rephrase that. Not clear hero mode without dying, but clearing hero mode without getting a game over. I was the first YouTuber to do that. Every other popular YouTuber who plays Splatoon 2 got a game over going through hero mode. I did not. Throughout my entire time playing hero mode, there was not a single game over. And that's something I take to my infamy going into Splatoon 3. Another thing that I take is, thanks to one of my Japanese Splatoon groups, I did the Splat Me Back in Time challenge. Essentially, what that was is, you are a player of Splatoon, and the idea is you find a time capsule, go back to the first Splatoon, and play Turf War with the squids of yesterday. And based on your performance of the Splat Me Back in Time challenge, you can either return to the pleasant. Here I am speaking in Japanese, Japan-English. Depending on your performance in the Splat Me Back in Time challenge, determines if you could safely return to your capsule and jump back to the future, or your piss-poor performance in Turf Wars of the past resulted in your death from the past. And I'm really hoping that the same Japanese Splatoon group that I'm in does the Splat Me Back in Time challenge in 3 for 2. And at least this time I won't have to switch consoles for it. You know, the Splatfest themes were great. Scrimmage matches sucked. And most of the matches, I either was at lowest defender. I mean, there were times where I didn't get the crown for the king, but it was nice to actually be defender or champion, right? And Splatfest power was an interesting thing. Hopefully with this first Splatfest in Splatoon 3, we'll get Splatfest power back. Or we're just going to have something different, because the clout is there. And then we came to the end of this game with the Final Fest, where the theme was order or chaos. And being a member of Team Chaos, I was glad to have won for Team Chaos in Splatocalypse, the final Splatfest, aka Final Fest. And it was great. And just like in Splatoon 3, the Splatlands where we go is the City of Chaos. Now, had Order won, it probably would be something completely different, but it would have been the City of Order. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the evolution of things go, because we now have a small fry salmonid, and it's going to be interesting to know just what happens with the salmonids going into Hero Mode 3. And I hope I can go through Hero Mode 3 without dying. But based on what the Nintendo Treehouse showed us, there's a grind Rails one. And that was one of those tests in the Octo expansion that I did not get through. So that'll probably be where I get my death. That'll probably be where I get the game over. You know, that's interesting. And I'm looking forward to this as well. And as I say goodbye to Splatoon 2, until a possible Splat Me Back in Time challenge, it was nice doing this stuff, you know. It was nice doing the turf wars. I didn't quite get to the highest rank again, and the funny thing is, they even gave Splatoon 2, after a long while, the X rank, which was higher than S. You know, and to everybody who managed to get S rank and grind out 99 S tiers for the X rank, good on you. You have the patience for it. You are saints. I couldn't have that. But at least I did better this time. And the good thing was, if you did fail horribly in ranked, you could maintain your rank grade and not completely lose it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds in the Splatlands. But that's all I wanted to say about my last word for Splatoon 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for hearing me out. Remember to share your thoughts in the comment section below. And I will see you guys in Splatoon 3. Thank you very much.